1. Form shooting trio. Players should practice form shooting every so often to help enhance their basic techniques. Practicing this form shooting will carry over onto the court. When doing this one-arm form shooting, ball placement should not be in the palm. Knees should be bent. If the player does not have to move his feet when catching the ball, it is a sign of an accurate shot. When shooting the basketball, on the release, there should be a kind of flick of the wrist for a backspin. This produces a softer shot. 2. Shoot the line. In this drill, the player will draw a line with chalk on the driveway. Using the correct shooting form, with only one hand first, he should straddle the line or have one foot even with the line. With the flicking of the wrist, the ball is supposed to land on or very close to the line. Once the player is comfortable shooting with one hand, he can add his other hand as his guide hand to use his complete shooting form. This drill will help correct form shooting habits, and the player can challenge himself to see how many times the ball hits the chalk.
Nice, good follow through.
3. Form shooting at basket. When practicing form shooting at the basket, the player should be concerned first with the correct form, and second, making the basket. By practicing this fundamental shooting form without dribbling or jumping, we are forcing the athlete to solely focus on only the correct form itself. Doing this shooting warm-up with a partner or parent will ensure a good number of repetitions. Also, part of the reason to warm up like this is to have the shooter in a relaxed state of mind. As in all sports, whether it is hitting a baseball or swinging a golf club, the more relaxed the athlete is, the better the chance he has to be successful. 4. Form shooting from multiple locations. After practicing form shooting in a stationary position, the player can practice at different spots around the court. Notice that the player is shooting around the court using one hand only. For really young players, if there's an adjustable rim available, parents should accommodate them so they can experience success. A teaching tip when working with young players is to teach a sports skill one piece at a time. This progression teaching method works well with form shooting.
That's it. Keep going. Good job, Andrew.
Some young players cannot grasp all the different techniques they need to remember at once.
Way to go.
5. Backspin, pass, triple threat. A player can practice some of the most popular offensive moves by himself. In the backspin, pass, triple threat, the player will retrieve the ball after tossing it with a backspin and then square up to the basket. He has 3 offensive options: to shoot, dribble, or pass. Using the shooting option, the player will elevate and shoot. The ball should be shot at the top of the jump.
Good.
It's a great idea when faking a pass to fake it to both sides of the body. In basketball, as in any individual or team sport, the athlete never wants to be too predictable. 6. Self-pass with garbage can. A variation of the previous drill is to put a garbage can on the driveway or court to help simulate real playing conditions. The garbage can can be seen as a defender and also as a teammate setting up a pick or a screen. When the player tosses the ball with the backspin, it should be near the garbage can so the player can utilize its spot on the court. Having the garbage can on the court has a secondary benefit. It helps players to exercise their peripheral vision. Whether it's dribbling or setting up for a shot, basketball players must always try to see as much of the court as possible. In this drill, the distance the garbage can is to the basketball should be adjusted according to age and ability. 7. Backspin with jab step. The jab step is a quick step forward, and its purpose is to try backing up the defensive player to access enough space to get a clear look and shot at the basket. The jab step should be exaggerated to sell the defender enough to convince him that the player wants to go strong to the basket. the offensive player should always try to do a number of moves to create enough space between himself and the defender. It's absolutely recommended to try the same move more than once. Just because it doesn't work one time does not mean it won't work another time, even with the same defender. Eight, fake pass and shoot. This move is done first with a backspin pass, then an exaggerated crisp fake pass. Remember, when faking a pass, it should look as realistic as possible to try and sell it as a real pass. When the defender looks like he might try and deflect the pass, the shooter will then turn his focus and vision to the rim and go up for a shot. Youth players should always shorten their shooting distance in any of these practice drills and then work their way back. 9, rocker step and shoot.
Jab step, get the defender backpedaling. Bring the front foot behind me, shot fake, he goes up in the air. As he goes up in the air, I can go by him, I can take it all the way in for a layup, or I can pull up for a short jump shot.
The rocker step is a quick head and shoulder fake or a shot fake combined with a jab step. Like all offensive moves, the objective is to get the defensive player off balance or out of his defensive rhythm by adding the head and shoulder or shot fake with the jab step. Once the defensive player backs up or is off balance, the offensive player can go up for a shot or put the ball on the floor and then shoot or drive to the basket. In this particular drill, the offensive player is putting the ball on the floor and then coming up for a shot. 10, rocker step with defender. Practicing the rocker step with a defender is very helpful in getting the young offensive player used to feeling covered, even though the defensive player is purposely going for the fake. With the rocker step and all these individual moves, it's important to maintain a crouched position when you make your fakes and when you go around your defender. If you straighten up, you'll lose the power and quickness which makes these moves so effective. 11, pull back and shoot.
The purpose of this move is to try to get the defender off balance so you can get an open look at the basket. Here's how it's performed. I have my dribble already. I can't pick it up because if I pick it up then I'm stuck. So I have to make sure I keep my dribble. I'm dribbling at the top of the key. I want to set my defender up and create the illusion that I'm trying to go by him. That's going to force him to backpedal. Once he backpedals, I kick back and I raise for my jump shot. So I have my dribble here. I fake the drive, pull back. At this point, he should be backpedaling. That's when I elevate and shoot.
Like most offensive moves, when the defensive player backs up and the offensive player is able to instinctively think and act ahead, he will have the advantage. The offensive player always knows where he's going. The defensive player has to focus on his man, but there's an element of guesswork. In the pull back and shoot move, the offensive player is trying to exploit this guesswork. And if timed and executed correctly, the offensive player can get off a clean shot, even if the defensive player has a few inches on him. 12, crossover dribble.
One effective way to get yourself open for a shot in basketball is to use the crossover move. The crossover dribble is a very effective way to get an open shot, but it has to be done correctly. The one thing that you have to remember when executing the crossover dribble is never to leave the ball out in front of the defender. If you do, there's a good chance that you're going to get the ball stolen away from you if the defender has quick hands. So what you want to do is have the ball in one hand, take a hard dribble to set the defender up, and then pull the ball back towards you. That way you don't leave it out in front of the defense for them to swipe it away. Watch again. I have the ball, I set my defender up, hard dribble, and then pull back, crossing over in front. That was left to right. Now I'll show you right to left. I have the ball, hard dribble, pull it back. And I can guard dribble as well, which means I put my body in between the ball and the defense. So if I have it here, crossover, guard dribble. Crossover, guard dribble. Never in front of the defender to get it poked away.
Youth players should practice the crossover dribble using both hands for the hard dribble as Dan describes. When the player does a correct crossover dribble, he will create space and put the defender off balance, thereby being able to get a clean shot at the basket. The player must keep low.
Now you have to be very careful when you do this, because if you try to do it too fast, the ball's going to get caught in between your legs and you're susceptible to turning the ball over. So what you want to do is make sure you take a hard step forward towards your defender. When I do that, my legs are naturally spread apart. Then I take the ball and I transfer it from my left through the legs to my right, and I try to get in a rhythm to shoot. Watch again. I have the ball on my left, I take a hard step with my right, cross over through my legs, take one or two dribbles, and then elevate for my shot. Cross over, elevate, and shoot.
The goal of the crossover dribble is to get the defender off balance. If the offensive player gains the slightest advantage, whether it be a quarter, half, or full step, he should be in a favorable position to get a shot off. 13. Stutter Step.
The stutter step dribble can be used when the shooter is either under duress or there's a sense of urgency associated with the shot. What I mean by urgency is that either the shot clock is winding down or possibly the game clock. So it can be at the end of a quarter with 4 seconds left in the game. I have the ball and I'm dribbling and I need to get a shot off. One of the ways that I can do it is by stutter stepping. It's a hesitation dribble to get the defender off balance, and that way I can elevate for my shot. But there's a sense of urgency because I have to get my shot off in a limited amount of time. So I have to make sure I time it correctly. That way I get the shot off before the buzzer sounds. Let's see how it looks. I have the ball, 3 seconds left in the quarter. I stutter step for my defender so he gets a little bit off balance. Then I elevate and shoot.
The beauty of the stutter step is that a good defensive player must honor the move by momentarily freezing his body. He does not want to risk making the wrong guess and getting burned by the player with the ball.
1, buzzer, good.
14. Shot fake.
The next move that I'm going to show you is the dribble to a spot, shot fake, get the defender off his feet, and then while he comes back down, the shooter goes up. It's a great way to get yourself open for an open look at the basket, and it's also a great way to create a foul. Here's how it works. I have the ball at the top of the key. We're going to assume that the garbage can is my defender, and the garbage can is on me the entire time. But what I do is I dribble hard to a spot, and the defender goes with me. I stop on a dime, and I shot fake, lifting the defender off his feet. When he goes up, I stay on the ground. When the defender starts going back down, that's when I go up for my jump shot. It's going to be very difficult for the defender to recover from this move because he's off balance and he doesn't have the ability to land and get back up in time to be able to contest my shot. So I have the ball here. In slow motion, I would dribble hard to a spot, shot fake, and when I shot fake, it's almost as if I'm lifting the defender up off his feet. Defender goes up, he comes down, that's when I go up for my shot.
As you develop your shot fake, don't try to do too much. Less is more, and simple is best. Players can practice the shot fake alone, but must always be within their comfortable shooting range. You might find it helpful to get in front of a mirror and see if you can sell yourself with your own shot fake. 15. Pass to nowhere.
In basketball, you want to try to deceive your opponent as much as possible. Through this deception, the offensive player can get open looks at the basket, and that's when you have opportunities to score. The way that you can deceive a player before you shoot is to make a pass to nowhere. Now, the pass to nowhere is you fake a pass in any direction, and it's to nowhere in particular. What you're trying to do is get the defender to look down, look away, or look at the ball. When he does that, that's when you have an open look at the basket. This is best done if you do it quickly. That way, it's a quick reaction on the part of the defender, and that's when you can shoot. This is how you can implement this into a game.
An advanced time offensive move that is hard to sell is called the pass to nowhere. The offensive player in control of the basketball will fake a pass to nowhere. As the defender glances to the supposed path of the ball, the offensive player can then proceed with a shot and/or offensive move to the basket. Deception is a very important skill to learn for offensive moves because it creates opportunities to score. Getting the defender to follow a fake pass and to momentarily take his eye off the ball will lead to better scoring opportunities in games. This concept is difficult to master, but should be taught on all levels. 16. Fadeaway jump shot.
This next shot that I'm going to demonstrate is called the fadeaway jump shot. Now, the fadeaway jump shot was created out of necessity for smaller players to be able to get their shots off over taller defenders. The difference between a fadeaway jump shot and a standard jump shot is the fact that your body is physically moving away from the basket upon releasing the ball. When shooting that fadeaway jump shot, it's important not to kick your leg out too far, because if you do, you're susceptible to being called for an offensive foul. Here's how you can shoot the fadeaway jump shot in a game.
This shot follows the same technique as in the form shooting, but the shooter's body is moving away from the basket on the shot's release. This is giving the shooter the chance to create more space between him and the defender. Like all offensive moves, especially shooting, the player should practice the move and try to simulate game-like conditions. Remember not to kick your leg out too far when fading back on the shot. (17) Pivot foot. When a player is at the low post, with his back to the basket, and his left foot is established as the pivot foot, the player has two options: to pivot outside or to pivot inside. The player who has the ball can and should establish a pivot foot, meaning one foot must remain stationary, but he can rotate it, and can rotate either inside or outside. Inside is spinning toward the basket, while outside is spinning away from the basket. Young players, as well as school players, should practice both techniques. Players need to remember that the inside pivot is riskier because the ball is exposed to the defender for a longer period of time. 18. Hook shot. The hook shot is a good shot for an offensive player to have in his arsenal. Being able to get off a shot from different arm angles is very important because sometimes a defender will hinder an offensive player from implementing perfect form shooting. The player will have his body between the defender and the ball, creating a kind of wall, which gives the shooter a better chance of getting off a clean shot. When shooting, he will hook the ball around the defender with one hand. The hook shot is a popular quick shot in the paint when driving toward the basket. 19. Shoulder shimmy. In this low post move, the shooter, while dribbling, will back up at the low post and then quickly move his shoulders back and forth. He will then take a fadeaway jump shot.
Another effective low post move is called the shoulder shimmy. Now, this is something that can be done when you have deep post position and your back is to the basket. You can take a couple of dribbles to establish your position, and then when the defender is behind you, you want to shake your shoulders in a fast manner. That way you get the defender off balance, not knowing what you're going to do.
The more effective the shoulder fake, the more space the shooter will have because the shoulder shimmy should deceive the defender and get him off balance. The defender will not know which way the shooter will drive to the basket, leaving an opening for a fadeaway jump shot. A variation of this drill is to perform a fake shot after the shoulder shimmy. 20. Square up, pivot, spin, and shoot. Young players tend to see different offensive moves, and rather than take the time to practice them, they just try them in games without learning the benefits of the move and the most opportune times to use them first. In this move, the shooter will face the basket, take one dribble, spin into the lane off of a pivot, and shoot. This is an excellent move that basketball players of all ages should practice as part of their repertoire. The best way to learn a new move is to break it down into different parts and practice it in slow motion, slowly working toward game speed. Repetition is also a key to success. 21. Shoulder shimmy, keep dribble, defender in air. Another variation of the shoulder shimmy, making the defender vulnerable, is when the player will do the shimmy, and this time keep his dribble. After he does the shimmy, he turns to sell a shot, but dribbles to the basket. With a crisp upper body fake, there's a good chance of getting the defender off his feet, which puts the offensive player in a great position to score a basket. Players are encouraged to be creative when setting up any of these drills. If you do not have a partner to act as the defender, use any household item. A garbage can is a perfect object to use as a pick or a defender. (22) Magician move.
This dribble needs to be done at a fast pace because if you do it slowly, you run the risk of turning the ball over because it could be a carry. You also have to make sure that you keep your hand relatively on top of the ball, because if it goes on the side or underneath, the referee is going to call a palming violation. My opposite hand is just a decoy in this move. It has nothing to do with the actual dribble, but it creates the illusion that you might be crossing over in front of the defender, in which case he might try to go to steal it, and then you have an open look at a jump shot. I have the ball on my left. To try to do this slowly is difficult, so I'll go slowly at first, but then I'll work up to the actual move, and it will look better as I move on. So I have it here, in and out, and if you notice, my offhand just went in and out like this without a ball. The ball goes in front of that offhand, so it looks like this. Once again, I come down, sleight of hand. If you're the defender, you're guarding me, I'm bringing the ball up the floor, sleight of hand. I bring the ball up the floor, sleight of hand. If I want to do it righty, I have it here, I bring the ball up, sleight of hand.
As discussed in earlier offensive moves, such as the shoulder shimmy, the magician move is a great way to deceive the defender. Once the player with the ball has the defender on his heels, or anticipating a move in the wrong direction, it creates clear lanes to the basket. The magician move is just another example of creating deception. 23. Power dribble to the baseline. An excellent offensive move that is usually done on the baseline is the power dribble and seal the defender. This is a hard power dribble with two hands down and two hands catching. The offensive player will take a hard power dribble and then box the defender by sealing him at the hip. By sealing, the offensive player is almost hip to hip with the defender, and his foot is on the outside of the defender's after a quick pivot outside of the defender's reach. Because the offensive player has his foot positioned where it is, he's able to take a hard step toward the basket, giving him almost a clean path to the rim. 24. Up and under. This offensive move is another great way to get the defender to leave his feet prematurely. When performing the up and under, the shooter pivots to the inside of the defender and fakes a shot. The defender will leave his feet for the block, at which point the shooter will power dribble underneath the defender's block while he's in the air and go in for a hook or scoop shot. When the shooter does a drop step, he simulates going under the defender. The shooter goes up and under, being careful not to travel, and usually banks the ball in. 25. Standard pivot scoop. This is a slight variation of the up and under offensive move. The shooter pivots to one side, fakes the shot, power dribbles, and drop steps the opposite side when the defender is in the air, and then goes in for a scoop shot. The scoop shot is another variation of a drive to the basket where there's not enough time for a perfect form shooting technique. When going in for a scoop shot, the shooter should leap straight for the basket, and with an underhand motion, shoot for the basket as if shoveling the pass upwards. Young players should get used to getting off shots in all different situations. Very rarely in games will the other team allow you to set up a perfect, unhindered shot at the basket. 26. Shoot from rebound. This is a great multi-purpose game that works on a player's conditioning, form shooting and accuracy. A player shoots the ball using all of the form shooting techniques discussed at the beginning of this video. The shooter must follow his shot, and wherever he receives the rebound, he must shoot his next shot from there. If the shooter makes his shot, he can once again shoot from wherever he wants. Players can do this as a warm-up exercise or play competitively against the clock. They can shoot to see how many baskets they can make in a certain amount of time. This is a great game that gets players to shoot from all areas on the court. Advanced players can try different shooting techniques, such as the power layup, hook shot, scoop shot, and teardrop, depending on where they receive their rebound. 27. Dribble Game. A challenging game of one-on-one is playing it, but limiting the offensive player dribbles to only 2. This initiates creativity and promotes a quick shot. But this game does not even need to be played against another player. A shooter can practice his different shots, but only after 2 dribbles. In basketball, as in any other sport, repetition is the key. For younger players, making baskets is only a secondary benefit from learning the steps to successful offensive moves. Promoting games, such as the 2-dribble contest, is a fun way to stress fundamentals. 28. Give and go. In this drill, a shooter will pass the ball to a coach or a teammate, break to one side of the basket, and then retrieve a pass back for a shot. Players are encouraged to practice different shooting methods after the give and go, whether it's driving to the basket for a layup or pulling back for a fadeaway jump shot. All of the shooting fundamentals should still be stressed. Give and goes are an important tactic to creating scoring opportunities in games. When practicing give and goes, players should alternate driving to the basket on either side of the passer. 29. Shoot and move. In basketball games, players should never be standing in one position. Players should constantly be moving to create open spaces and scoring opportunities. The shoot and move drill stresses the importance of always being in motion. A player draws an X on the driveway, which represents the position he must return to when retrieving a pass from his partner. He will shoot the ball at the X and then alternate moving to either side of the X. This is a great drill that promotes endurance and the idea that players will need to move around in games to get open for a pass. Shoot and move also conditions players to take shots without having time to get a great look at the basket beforehand. 30. Double box drill. This is a great endurance drill for layups. In this drill, a player draws 2 boxes with chalk on either side of the basket and places a basketball in both boxes on the ground. On the go command, the shooter runs over to one of the balls, picks it up, and performs a layup. Once the shooter gets the shot off, he runs over to the other basketball, picks it up, and does another layup. The shooter will rotate back and forth between balls. A coach or teammate must retrieve all rebounds and quickly place the balls back in the boxes. This drill can also become a game. The shooter can see how many baskets he can make in a predetermined amount of time. 31. George Mikan drill. A player will alternate layups on either side of the basket. The shooter will retrieve his own rebound. This drill was made famous by former professional basketball player and college basketball coach George Mikan. The shooter should learn how to quickly grab the ball and take a shot while taking their 2 steps for the layup. Even though basketball is a team sport, there are many basketball drills that can be performed with no other players and in a confined area, such as a driveway. The George Mikan drill is perfect exercise when there are limited players and space. 32. Over the mountain. This is a great drill that teaches players how to shoot over a tall defender. A player will practice shooting at the basket with a static defender right in front of him, the defender's arms raised. The shooter must jump and shoot the ball with a high arc so that the ball's trajectory takes it over the defender's reach. Players must learn to make shots in all types of situations. Defenders are not going to allow shooters to have an open look at the basket. This over-the-mountain drill is just one of many examples of shots that players must be able to make in games. 33. Inbound pass. Practicing inbound passes are an important aspect to a successful basketball team. If performed correctly, many scoring opportunities can result from an inbound pass. In this drill, a coach will act as the inbound passer. On the go command, the coach will slap his hand against the side of the basketball to signal his teammate to go into motion. A garbage can is used as a stationary pick. The shooter will circle the garbage can, receive a pass from the inbound passer, and then take a shot. This is a timing drill and can only be mastered through repetition. More advanced teams and players will have set plays to perform for an inbound pass. Younger players should just practice receiving the pass and transitioning quickly into a shot. 34. Distractions.
Terrible free throw shooter.
This is a fun drill that helps players focus on their shot. In games, when players take foul shots, they must battle with a loud crowd, as well as fans swinging towels or jumping up and down in the shooter's line of sight. Players must learn how to forget about all outside factors attempting to distract and focus on the shot and the moment. This is a fun drill that emphasizes this concept.